Hi there. Um, I'm Heather. A lot of you know me, a lot of you don't, and that's okay. This is just a video that I wanted to do in preparation for the actual stroke video that I'm going to paint for you live. This is just to save some time so you can watch this at your leisure. The tray I'm working on is rectangular, as you can see, and in order to get it ready, just have to do a few things. The first would be to sand it to make sure there are no lumps or bumps or anything on it. Now, this is 220 sandpaper, and I already know that the surface is very smooth and that there aren't any lumps or bumps on this, so this is really just to make sure. You can see I've got some kind of pattern on here. I must have picked this tray up once before and thought I was going to paint something on it. This tray is, the background or the surface is a composite wood, like an MDF board, and you can buy that kind of product just about any building center. They differ though. Some have quite a shiny surface and others have a kind of a matte finish, which this one does. Some are finished on one side, and then on the other side they may be a little bit rougher, and if you're going to get one that's good one side, make sure that you don't paint on this matte kind of rough side. Paint on the side that's finished or has a little bit of sheen to it. Now, if you paint on the other side, what's going to happen is that the wood, the surface, this composite board, is going to soak up the moisture in your paint. It'll soak up your sealer. It could swell. You're going to have to resand it over and over again, and it's just a mess. So just be sure you paint on the right side. Now, this one also has a composite molded, almost like a frame, an outside ledge to this tray, and I'm not going to sand this at all. It has kind of a rough edge, and I've used that in the past as part of the design. I've got a tray here. Let me show you. Just let me grab it for a second here. So this tray, which is made by the same people, and it's the same product, it's just a different shape, and you can see, I hope you'll see that as I brush the gold paint over the edge, that kind of rough surface gave me, I don't know, kind of an antique look, which was great. So on this particular tray that I'm going to work on, I won't be sanding the edge. The other thing I want to mention is you may not have a tray like this. Well, actually, you can buy these trays off my website, of course, if you're interested. But if not, if you have a wooden tray, your prep will be the same basically, except that you may require a little bit more sanding. And also make sure that you sand in the direction of the grain. So this grain is running this way, and I would always sand like this. It's 220 sandpaper I'm using. Now again, this piece does not require a lot of work because it's in pretty good shape. I see a couple little nicks here and there, but this is a surface I've had hanging around for, gosh, many years. And at some point soon I'll probably paint it. So you sand this whole thing in the direction of the grain, again with a light thing, light pressure. And once your sanding is done, you just simply need to wipe this with a damp cloth is fine. I don't use tack cloths anymore because they have that substance, whatever they put in it, the chemical to cause it to be tacky, also interacts with some of your paint sometimes. So that's about all I'm going to do on this one. There's very little dust. I just kind of tap it over, and that's about it. Now, this requires sealing, as does as do any other of the wood pieces that you might be using. And any kind of sealer will work. Just let me grab some here. So this is my own sealer, and I don't have any left to sell you, but any sealer would work. Any wood sealer, acrylic based wood sealer will work. And again, I'm just simply going to load up my brush and put an even coat of sealer. You can see how that just soaks into that board. And that's a good thing, because that means if I can get it sealed, the paint will not soak in. So nice even coat. Probably only one coat, because sometimes people overseal and oversand, and what you do is you get rid of any tooth that's going to help that paint adhere to the surface. Now, I'm also going to seal the edge here, and I know from just my own personal experience with this product that I really don't have to seal this edge, but I'll seal it anyways, just for the sake of the video. Just throw a little bit more on here. So that's pretty simple. Very simple, as a matter of fact. And I just want to make sure that I don't have any of the sealer puddling, so I'm just going to turn it around here so I can look at it from both directions and make sure it looks good to me. So of course you're going to wash your brushes out carefully, and this needs to dry before we can go on to the next step. So I'm back. I did take a hairdryer to this to try and speed up the process, but it's dry enough that I can work on it, and I feel now it's a little bit rougher because it pulls up the fiber in the piece, but I'm not too concerned about that, so I'm going to leave it, and I'll go to my next step, which is pretty simple, and that's going to be to base coat the background on the piece. I'm using Folk Art. This is Folk Art, and I believe this is the Pure Black. Yes, it is. So Folk Art Pure Black, again, if you have any kind of black acrylic paint will do. I've just put a little bit in my cup here to save on my palette, and I'm simply going to try and put a nice even coat. If you use a large brush, obviously the job goes a lot faster. And I find with this particular surface that usually one coat covers. Some surfaces it doesn't. You have to add maybe 2 or 3 coats to get that nice black color. I can see that there's a hair has come out of my brush here. I'll clip that off the surface in a minute. Either that, or I'll just wait for it to dry and then I can. Now you'll notice I go back and forth. There's that hair. Now it's gone. And I think there's another one. And now that one's gone. There's a little lump of paint here. So I usually stroke one way and then I'll go across the other way. And this really smooths the paint out. And once acrylic paint starts to dry, well then you have to stop playing with it because you'll actually lift it off the surface. So I just want to put some on the edges here, which isn't going to take me very long. And I would do the back as well. I won't do it now for you. You can do that yourself if you're interested in painting a tray, but usually I finish off the back while I'm doing at this stage. I don't wait to do it later. If I need to touch it up later because I had dirty fingers or paint covered fingers on the edges, I'll just touch it up later. But if you're painting on real wood, it's always best to seal both sides at the same sitting and to base coat or undercoat both sides, and that way you can eliminate warping. If you seal one side and paint one side and you leave the raw wood exposed on the other side, depending on the piece of course and the wood and moisture and all kinds of things, you stand a good chance of having your piece warped, so you don't want to do that. So when you seal one side, make sure you seal as soon as the one side's dry, seal the other side. And then as soon as you get your undercoat, or if you're base coating, get that on both sides as well. So that's pretty simple, and that's it. This is still not dry, so I can still play with it a bit more. I can see that my brush here, well, I haven't used this brush in a while, but I can see that there's little hairs on the surface. So what I'll do is wait for it to dry, and those will just lift off. There's one there. I hate digging into the paint, but oh, there we go. It's gone. So there could be more, but I'll just sand those off. So that was pretty simple. My tray's, except for finishing the back of it, my tray's all ready to go. And so when I start the live videos, I'll start from this step, and I will design, show you how I put the bouquets together, the florals together, and we'll paint a few flowers, and we'll work on some strokes. And I'm not sure how many sessions that's going to take, but it will take probably 3 or 4 for sure. Depends on how much detail you want me to put into that final step, which will be over strokes. It's the pretty step, the easy step. So that'll be up to you. You can give me feedback as we move through this process together. And hopefully, so far, this is easy to understand, very easy to prep a surface. As I mentioned, I do have I have a limited number of this particular tray. I may have 20 or so in stock only, maybe 30, and I have a couple of other shapes which would work as well for whatever I paint on here. But if you're interested, fine, you can go to my website. I did put a 10% discount for everything on the site, even the things that are already on sale, including these trays which are on sale. If you just put in the coupon word LIVE, L-I-V-E. So that's it for now, and I'll see you very soon to start working on this tray. Thanks for watching.